Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Anderson TV. My name is Josiah Summers Anderson. This is our first episode of 2026 and season 42 starts here in January 2026. So, anyways, before we begin the episode, there are a few changes that Anderson TV will have. So, as of Christmas of last year, Anderson TV will start doing 2-month-long seasons instead of the usual 1-month seasons. So, because there's always a lot to talk about. So, I always do 3 episodes a month, sometimes 2 episodes. So, I'm deciding to do 6 episodes a season. So, that means 3 episodes in January and the other 3 in February coming together with 6 episodes. And don't make me say the 6-7 thing. I'm tired of that. I'm absolutely tired of it. So, anyways, this week's episode will be about the one world government. So, when I first heard about it, I heard it from my grandmother, who is a devout Christian, but she believes that there actually will be a one world government where that all countries will have to answer to like this one leader of the entire country. But what if there are some arguments made that we're already seeing that and it's actually here and we don't even know it? So we're going to take a look of all things into one world government because this is very important. Everything from Agenda 2030 to Revelation chapter 13, the mark of the beast, and among everything else about one world government. And what are some arguments being made about it? So we're going to look at all those things in this episode. So we'll be right back. So let's continue on with the episode. Alright, so one world government. So it is. So it's basically a theoretical concept where all nations merge into a single governing entity. The idea has been debated for centuries, with philosophers like Dante Alighieri supporting it and Thomas Hobbes rejecting it. The closest approximation to a world government is the United Nations, which focuses on cooperation between nations rather than authority over them. So, this idea has been around since antiquity and was championed by figures like Albert Einstein and Bertrand Russell after World War II. In the structure, it could be democratic or tyrannical, with executive, legislative, and judicial functions. So the arguments for, some see it as a natural outcome for human evolution and a way to avoid the tragedy of the commons. So arguments against, some say it could lead to global tyranny, undermine interjurisdictional competition, and exacerbate democratic weaknesses. So anyway, that is definition of one world government. So now to try to get this into like some sort of biblical, so sections that talk about one world government indirectly, but you can depict it, but you can interpret that is probably talking about a one world government. So Revelation 13, verses 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 18. No, 2:18. So the false prophet, it exercises all the authority of the first beast, and it makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed. and it had two horns like a lamb, and spoke like a dragon. So, a super weapon it had to perform great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of people. And worship the image of the beast or die, which is a repeat of what it said in Daniel 3. And the number 666. It causes all to be marked on the right hand or the forehead so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. So 666. I remember that my grandma told me about the 666 mark, that you either have it on your forehead, which represents thoughts, and on your hands, it represents actions, and that. So the mark of the beast is kind of like when you're going into a checkout line at the store. So, anyways, that your mark will scan through that scanner. That's kind of like what mark of the beast is like. So, some people made the argument that Neuralink could be a literal example of the mark of the beast, or other microchips. Um, some people would say is debit cards or credit cards with a little chip into it. So, anyways, it represents allegiance to the Antichrist. So, so the Bible does not use the term one world government, but it describes it in Daniel 7 and Revelation 13. Let me know if there's like more stories, more books in the Bible that talks about this. So, but according to what I have searched up, Daniel 7, it describes a terrifying fourth beast with 10 horns, one rising to speak arrogantly, signifying a final conquering empire and ruler. So it means it's a final empire. Final. So the beast, it represents empires, or what we call today nations or governments. So I wonder what that nation would probably represent. So so anyways, it has authority over all nations. So the rulers described as having authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation, implying universal sovereignty. So universal sovereignty is an oxymoron to me because I don't think so. Sovereignty is another word for independence. Um, when it comes to a certain area, there's nothing independent about countries that are unifying with like one common leader. There's nothing sovereign about that. So so it's just unity basically. So anyway, pledging allegiance to the Antichrist or to Satan. So there are fears that Agenda 2030 could be the driver of of the one world government type of thing. So the UN, they have about 17 sustainable development goals to um, balance the economic, social, environmental dimensions of development to secure a prosperous and peaceful future for all by 2030. They want to eradicate poverty and hunger, realizing human rights for all people without discrimination, protecting the planet from degradation through sustainable practices, fostering peaceful, just, and inclusive societies, promoting sustained, inclusive economic growth. So it's basically a word for taking away from the traditions of countries that are known for like their traditions, um, importing more people into countries without vetting them in properly, and among other horrible stuff. It's just ridiculous. So, anyways, if these other underdeveloped countries really want to help, they would probably elect better governments, or some of that matter, or they probably need to probably elect better leadership that will actually put their country first instead of putting criminals first or other countries. And I think we need to do it here in America too, where that we're actually taking care of foreign countries over our own. So it's like, for example, that you're going to the neighbor's house and taking care of the neighbor's kids without taking care of your own kids first. Well, which is nice that you had to take care of your neighbor's kids, but what about your own kids? Well, the neighbor's kids are well and fed. Of course, your kids are about to die of starvation. So that is why that I chose to be America first, America only, because yeah, I care about this country, but yeah, I can't pledge my loyalty to the United States all the time. I mean, I can't. I mean, no one in this government has died on a cross for me. Not Trump, not Biden, not Harris, or Walls, or Mobdani, or Landry, or Netanyahu, or Putin, or Ayatollah Khamenei, or whatever he's called. So, anyways, none of these leaders died on the cross for me. The only person that did that was Jesus Christ. So you can't make the government your Lord and Savior. That's Jesus Christ's job. He is your Lord and Savior. He is my Lord and Savior. So you can't pledge your loyalty to just. Um, so I remember hearing a sermon yesterday on the 11th of January from pastor over at Woodridge Baptist Church. And the one thing I took away from that is that sometimes the perspectives of the world don't really matter. So it is good to get input from people, but it doesn't matter about your perspective of something, and that churches would sometimes interpret the Bible incorrectly rather than in its correct form. So, anyways, then they would probably have certain companies that are funding, certain people that are funding um, pastors of what they have to say. Like, for example, oh, we have to support Israel because it has God's chosen people in it, and that Israel has a right to defend itself, and that we should not talk about Jesus anymore. What? What? Anti-Semitism. That is the word, that's the new racism. So anyway, just like the word racist, anti-Semitism, the word that lost its punch, just like Nazi, just like incel. That's the word those are the words that lost its punch because it's being used a lot. I mean, I was called those things, suddenly it lost all of its meaning. But I don't care what you call me because your perspective, the world's perspectives are just temporary. Jesus Christ is eternal. It never changes. I mean, people change their minds all the time. They change views all the time. I know I have. But Jesus Christ's perspective is stayed the same. The biblical perspective has always, always, always stayed the same. So, so anyway, I say that Jesus Christ's perspective, the biblical perspective, matters more than the temporary world's perspectives. We learned that from somewhere in 1 Corinthians. So I don't need a one world government. No one deserves a one world government where there's just one leader that is a beast. There's just one leader telling what other nations what they should do. I mean, take away our rights to vote, take away our guns, take away all the freedoms that we had. We don't want a one world government. And take away our religious values. And import people to our country where that they don't where that they refuse to assimilate. Ridiculous. So anyway, people would make the argument where that Netanyahu probably in charge of the United States, but I don't think Netanyahu is probably in charge of every country. I mean, just about some countries in the Middle East except for Iran. So, yeah, we have powerful countries in the world: the United States, Israel, China, Russia, um, plenty more powerful countries that I cannot name here. So, let them stay sovereign and let them do whatever traditions that they have in their own countries. They'll bring that here to the United States. So, anyways, we'll be right back. So that is it for this episode of Ironson TV. So I kind of had trouble trying to record this video. I want to do screen share. I want to do all kinds of things with this video, but I decided to do it like a regular monologue or something like that. But I promise to try to get it fixed in the next episode. But don't worry, plenty more chances. So, anyways, you probably have or have not heard, but Ironson TV is back on TikTok for the fourth time. For the third or fourth time, whatever it is. So there will be clips from this episode posted here later this week. I posted this on a Saturday, so ignore that message. You should have already seen it. So I'll also post on Instagram as well. Just for good measure. So, I will see you all next week. Goodbye, everyone. Happy New Year. And I'll see you all next week.